Hello, Webbdagarna. It's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me. It's actually amazing to be in Sweden, first time for me. And before I start, I also was asked to send a little picture that reminds me and that inspires me to do great work. And this is actually a picture of my father's workbench back in the house. And what it tells me, and every time I think about that picture, it tells me that good work and smart work is always hard work. So you need to work and constantly fix and try to come up with new ideas. But it also tells me you can fix things. If something's broken, you can work harder and you can fix it. But to be here today is really cool because I have a very strong connection to Sweden. When I was a little kid, actually Roxette was my absolute favorite band. And when I was a kid, I thought it was amazing that this band has a song about the act of taking a nap in a car. It was only later that I found that actually Swedish people do other things when they are sleeping in their car. But so much for early English education in Switzerland. Today, I'm not here to talk about the role of the automotive industry in a nation's love life. But I'm actually here to talk really exciting, which is digital marketing, and especially how you can combine data with creativity. So in the next 20 minutes, I will talk about and give you some examples how you can combine data with creativity and why we in this room, why we humans are very important. Because a lot of people will talk about tools, how you can automate things, marketing automation, everything is connected. But the thing is, you need a human idea. You need creativity to make new things happen. And today, I'll talk about this one. And I also had to promise Paulina to give you a lot of examples so that you can go back to your office and actually start thinking and start working on these ideas. So let's get started. Our journey today starts here. 35,000 years ago, in a cave in France, where a caveman blew pigments of color on it, creating this wonderful piece of art, but also creating this wonderful piece, this first piece of self-marketing. So this is the world's first Foursquare check-in. Hey, I'm here, check this out. But the thing is, it's still visible today. And also, in the early days of mankind, people used their imagination and their creativity to leave a mark and to get other people's attention. So 35,000 years ago, only very little was needed. But today, we need a bit more because the market is more cluttered, there's more advertising, there's more going on, so you need to be a bit more proactive. So this is where we are today. We live in a digital age. We live in the age of big data. We live in a digital universe. And to give you an idea, 1.5 billion pictures are uploaded on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and on Snapchat alone. And every minute, 300 hours of new videos are being uploaded on YouTube. So that's a lot of data. And this digital universe, so the data that we create, the data that you share, the data that we copy, this digital universe is expected to double in size every 2 years. So together, we create massive amounts of data. And in 2020, we are expected to reach 44 zettabytes of data. So what's a zettabyte? A zettabyte, so 44 zettabytes, that's 44 bytes with 21 zeros. And if that's still, that's a very big number. So, but let's see how we can visualize that. So back in 2013, if we put all the data that we have on an average iPad, and if we stack those iPads, we would have a pile of iPads almost reaching to the moon. That's a lot of data. I would be very happy to sell those iPads. Pretty sure about that. In 5 years, those 44 zettabytes, they would equal a stack, well, 6.6 stacks from a moon. Now, what does that mean? What can we do with that data? So there's an awesome amount of data, public data, data that you create in your organizations, but also a lot of public data that we can access. And I will show some examples how we can use that, how you can use that data to. So here's a first example. To raise awareness for their European flights, Airways connected real-time flight information to a billboard, and every time one of their airplanes flew above Piccadilly Circus, they had standing up, pointing to the airplane, and they had live information. So it's really cool. It's actually a very simple idea. But what it is, it's creating relevancy, and it's connecting to the real world of people standing there and seeing this ad. And I think it's a very cool example how you can create something that takes real-life data and combines it with advertising. And the other message here, it's also very smart. Because if you want to book a billboard at this location in Piccadilly Circus, that costs a lot of money. So if you only book it for some seconds, when there's actually a plane above the billboard, you don't need to book it for the full day, right? So it's very cheap then, and you still have the same message. So it's a very smart example how you can combine data and creativity. So when we talk about data and creativity, it seems like two worlds that somehow belong together, but somehow also are different. And today in marketing, as I explained in the beginning, we always talk about tools that will take the work away from us, and everything is being automated, and everything works by just pushing one button. I don't think so. I think we need ideas, we need creativity to come up with really smart ideas, and as we talk this day and tomorrow here, to really do smart business. So in my world, this is data. Data is knowledge. Nothing else, but nothing more. Knowledge that's things that happened, things that we know. It's data points, stuff that we have saved, and things that we know as people in an organization, but also as bits and bytes on computers. Now, if we talk about big data, we see this image. It's the same data, but suddenly it's connected. An algorithm, a smart algorithm, finds clusters, optimizes. That's very efficient. But this automated process of optimizing things based on data, it's rule-based, and it's only based on previous experience. So you can only optimize what you already know. To give you an example, a big data tool would never have connected real-life information of flights to a billboard in London. Humans do that. That's not a tool. No tool will come up and say, hey, Bob of British Airways, why don't you connect your flight plans with a billboard? But a tool could find maybe a cheaper cost per acquisition, a tool could find traffic patterns, or also convert people faster on a website. But if you think about creativity, it's connecting things in a way that haven't been connected before. So this is true creativity. And creativity, in my opinion, is a disruptive force. It's something very human. And you need this to stand out in today's very cluttered environment and to create something really, really cool. So think about that one. When you think about big data, you always need creativity and human thought, because only that will bring you forward. On a side note, this will also make sure that we still have jobs in 10 years. So another great example, I want to introduce you to Todd. Todd is, he's an athlete, and he's using Nike Plus. And he's one of the Nike Plus most engaged athletes and users in that community. And at the end of 2014, Todd received this personalized video. And this video was based on his personal data. When he ran, in what weather conditions he ran, what was the place that he was exercising. And Nike put all that information together and sent Todd this little video that I want to show you. really love this video. It was done by the agency AKQA together with the French designer Macbeth. And Todd wasn't the only one to receive such a video. They created 100,000 personalized video that they sent their most active users at the end of 2004. Also to train more in this year. And I think it's a really, really cool example how you create something that's creative, that with the real world of these athletes. It's kind of like a meaningful relationship with But now you might ask, that's British Airways, that's Nike. Those are big, big, big corporations with a lot of marketing budget. And so because I promised Paulina that I will give some actionable examples, in my second half of the talk, I will talk about smaller examples, small-scale things in the sense as Cindy proposed. Those are kind of like micro-actions, so things you can do in your daily life to get a bit closer to combining data with creativity. And I think the most important part there is a culture of collaboration. This is a picture of my team working in Zurich called Ideas Bash, where we put language specialists, software engineers, and account managers in the same room for a full day. So getting rid of all the daily projects, but really to sit together and come up with new ideas. Because you don't always do that, right? Because you're busy, there's emails, there are clients, and some friends tell me that this picture is pretty boring because you just see people sitting in a room staring into screens. But actually what's happening here, it's different worlds working together and creating new kinds of work on the interface between those worlds. And all the examples that I show you afterwards, they kind of like grew out of that. And we host those kind of events and also challenges within the team more frequently. Here's the example. It might look like a very boring screenshot of an AdWords and Google search result. And I know it's in German, but I will explain you what's happening here. So it looks like a very regular, very standard search result page. But what we did here is, so you see the ad at the top. Es ist kalt draußen, that means it's cold outside. And we were working with a Swiss, and the task was to raise awareness that when it's snowing, it's getting slippery. And you should take care because otherwise you might hurt yourself. What we did is we tried to advertise on keywords that are related to weather information. And every time the temperature dropped below 0, we had those ads automatically appear. So what we did is scripts in AdWords, so you can combine AdWords scripts in your AdWords account and connected that to real-time information of weather data. So every time when in a specific location it was below 0 degrees, those ads would automatically appear, and in that way we were able to advertise on keywords in a very relevant way, which hasn't been possible. Another example that I really like, this is for the Swiss Federal Railway, and the task here was to, of course, promote taking the train instead of taking the car. So again, we turned to Google. And a lot of people are searching on Google to get directions. So in this case, from Lucerne to Bern, two wonderful cities in Switzerland, it would show up a map already. So you see it on the second half of the screen. Would show you a map how to get there, but by car. So what we did, again, we wrote a script that would in real time ask Google what is the suggested route by car, information for the same journey in a train in real time, and parse that information or get that information directly in the AdWords ad. So what you see on the top is an ad saying, wait a minute, 1 hour and 70 minutes by car, we can do it faster in a train. From Lucerne to Bern in only 60 minutes. And this is amazing because, again, we were able to advertise search queries that had a very strong connection to the actual need of people, but we couldn't do that just by advertising and writing that by hand. So it's really automating what's necessary and using data to amplify a message that you had. And this case, we had, in a couple of weeks, 250,000 impressions and a click rate of 16%. And if you ever ran an AdWords campaign, you know that this is pretty strong for a non-branded term. So again, very cool, and also within the client, it was a very successful case. Here's another example. I'll show you this because it's very new, it's brand new. It's actually still running. So what we do, we send out a newsletter as an agency every month to our friends, to everybody who wants to receive that. But we only have a couple of hundred subscribers. Now that's cool, but it's always cool to have a bit more subscribers. So we thought about how could we boost that? How can we get subscribers for our newsletter? And we thought about running an ad campaign, running banners. But then again, we know that banners sometimes are not really relevant for the audience. So here's what we created. We turned to data to make the ads more relevant. Step one, we took a look at our MailChimp subscriber list to find the true fans. So that was a short list. We created a short list of the 20 most engaged fans. So those who would open every newsletter, click on many links, and really love the newsletter. So we selected the true fans. Number two, out of these real fans, we checked which are the true social rock stars. So which of them have many followers on Twitter and are really open and have a lot of reach on Twitter. So you see, it's getting smaller. So we have the true fans, and out of these true fans, we selected the social rock stars. And then, step three, we asked those. That was just 3 people left, actually. We asked those 3 people, hey, would you mind giving us a testimonial? A very authentic testimonial. So they would tweet about the newsletter, and because we know that they love the newsletter, actually everybody said yes. So we had 3 very authentic testimonials out on Twitter. Now this is already very cool, it's already started to work, but again, I mean, if you just have a tweet, you're still just within the Twitter timeline, which is again very crowded. So it's kind of like the reach is not very great for us. So what we did, step 4, we took those tweets, again, authentic messages. We took those tweets and made banners out of it. And what we did, we only showed that banner to people who have previously visited our website. Because if you visit our website, we are pretty sure you have kind of an interest into us as an agency. So instead of just spamming the world with unrelated banners and telling everybody how great we are, what we did is we asked people who love what we do to tell other people how great we are and amplify that by using remarketing or retargeting as a banner channel. And the results are amazing. So we saw a 300% higher click rate on those banners, and even cooler, 350% higher conversion rate on those banners. So again, we ran an integrated campaign just because we had the data to create something like a meaningful relationship with the audience. And here's the last example. Again, one of my favorite examples because it's something you wouldn't do regularly in a marketing environment. So we work with clients, and as an AdWords or online marketing agency, sometimes your work feels a bit invisible because you work. It's a lot of work. I mean, many hours go into that. Clients work many hours, and even if you create massive amounts of sales and success, it's still at the end of the day or at the end of the year. It's an Excel sheet, it's a PDF, and you send that, and nobody prints them out, right? No client prints a PDF report and puts it on the wall. And we wanted to change that. we wanted to create something that stands out, literally. So again, here's what we did. at the end of the year, we put together the full year of performance for our largest clients. So that's 12 months of data for an AdWords campaign. Then I was sitting together with a friend of mine who is an architect. And what we did is we created 3D models out of that data. So you had different versions, but we settled on that, the pillar of data. And then we started to print those objects. And this is a fast forward, a time-lapse movie, so actually it took 10 hours to print one of those objects. But it was really cool. So we had software engineers working with us, architects working with the data that we have to create something that tells a story and that could spark a conversation. So we also had various failed attempts. So you see like the machine broke in the middle of the process. We had small versions, big versions. But it was also a lot of fun to work on that and to really think about what are we doing here and how do we move forward. And at the end, we had these wonderful awards. We called them Vision Awards because we wanted to thank our clients to work with us and to believe in what we do and working together. And the cool thing, you see it, you see the different curves. You can actually see what happened in this year. So this was the summer campaign, which was really successful in this case. But you can also see how during the change of the year that works. And the cool thing, those clients that put it on their desk, they were really proud of that, and it sparked conversations within those companies about something that was previously very invisible. So to come back and close my little talk about how to combine data and creativity, I think you need 5 forces to be successful in this field. Number 1, you need the right people. You need smart people and passionate people and people who love what they do. Number 2, you need to foster creativity. Creativity is the lifeblood of our industry, and you need to kind of like create an environment in which creativity can prosper. Number 3, embrace the fact that we live in the age of data. So give people access to your internal data and make sure your people have the skills to work with publicly available data. Number 4, a funny idea is just funny. A good idea needs to be relevant to your audience and needs to stand out. And last but not least, if you have all these elements, you need to foster open collaboration. Get people with a diverse background working together, free them from constraints, and really let them work on stuff that you didn't know. So, from my point of view, big data demands big ideas. And those big ideas sit in this very room. It's you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tobias. Let's see if our editors have any questions from social media or.
Could there be a reaction against companies knowing too much about the customers, you know, for personalization and creating campaigns just for this customer?
I think yes, and I think also tomorrow there will be a talk about how you can do a bit more, how you can personalize without being creepy.
That's a great question.
So I will how do we do that according to you?
Well, I think, in the case of Nike, those people like that because they give away that data anyway. So I think everybody would not be surprised if you used the Nike Fuel Band if Nike actually does something with that data. But I think, again, you need to be very careful and you need to think about some of the consequences that your work could have. So if you work in maybe sensitive areas, really think twice before you do that. But if your motives are like good, I think there shouldn't be a problem. But always in this term of like, what do you track? How far do you go? I think it makes sense to double check. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking as long as you're relevant and actually providing some kind of value, then that sort of exceeds the creepiness.
Yes.
If you know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we have anything from social media? Any tweets?
We have tweets. They liked your presentation.
Thanks.
let me check if there's some...
I actually have a question too. I'm thinking Stockholm is being spoken now as sort of being portrayed as one of the hottest tech and startup hubs in the world, basically. And I know that a lot of tech companies are struggling to find the right competence, and especially developers. And I'm thinking working for a marketing agency or an ad agency feels like it's even more difficult to find developers if you want to sort of walk down that track.
Yes, it certainly is. Today we have a team of 4 developers in our agency, but it was really difficult to find the first ones to work there, because developers or software engineers, sometimes they don't want to work for like the advertising industry. So again, what we did, we started with interns, and we're selecting interns who have a lot of followers on Twitter, and we let them work on projects that had nothing to do with our actual work. And like this, we were able to gain relevance in a market that we previously weren't really visible. So if you want to climb a mountain, you need to start small, and you need to start with small steps.
Great advice.
A question on Twitter. Is there a risk that people are suspicious about the social rockstar marketing, that they are bought by you?
Good question. I don't think so. Again, I mean, it needs to be real in the back. So whatever you do needs to be real. You cannot just fake that, because if people find out that it's a fake, then it doesn't work. But if you do it the right way, and again, as also Cindy said, if you believe in what you do, and if you think that this is the good way and this works, I think people will notice the difference between like the fake stuff and the real stuff. Actually, again, it's a very cool case. So for us as an agency, it's very important that we have good employer reviews on a website called Kununu. So in the German-speaking market, it's a very important platform where people who want to work in a company, they can see how good is their company with anonymous reviews. And we had the problem of fake positive reviews. So we saw that there are reviews that are 100% fake. So again, we tried to come up with a way to identify the right ones and combined data and creativity to create relevant information for people who want to work with us.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Tobias.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you. A round of applause.